Okay.
I
All right.
always do, because that's what I was taught.
Morning, Shirley. Morning, Paige. Okay, so I'm going to start over. A couple things that I learned yesterday. First of all, I'm going to hit mute all because we have background noise now that I am actually the host again. And when you're ready to talk, please just take yourself off mute and go. A couple things I learned yesterday. One of those was that this is going to take more than 3 days for us to go through the 14-step listing presentation. Hopefully you're okay with that. The end result is you master your listing presentation at a high level. Now, that is going to do two things for you. Number one, it's going to improve your conversion ratio. So you're going to go from 25% conversion, where you're getting 1 out of 4, to a 75%. Now you're getting 3 out of 4, which means you can continue to go on 4 listing appointments a month and take 3 listings versus getting 1 listing. Or if your goal is to take 2 listings, now you have to go on 2 rather than 8. You have to go on 2 appointments versus 8 appointments, all right? So it's working smarter. It's also working more productive. Hopefully you're okay with that. The other thing it's going to do for you is it's going to increase your confidence, because if you've mastered your listing presentation at a high level, then you can't wait to get on the phone and start making calls. Because you know when you get, yeah, sure, come on over and tell me what you could do to sell my home. Cool, I'm up to the plate. I'm going to knock this out of the park. Versus, holy cow, now what do I do? Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. So if you're okay with this taking longer than 3 days, just give me a quick thumbs up and I'm good to go. I'll get started.
John, one quick question.
Yes.
Do you mind us asking questions along the way?
So here's good. Thank you for saying that, Alex. So here's the other thing I learned yesterday. I will save the last 10 minutes for questions. There's going to be a lot of questions. Write them down. And I promise you that I will save the last 10 minutes for questions. Now, when it's time for me for questions and I tell you, okay, now ask me your questions. If nobody has any questions, then we're just gonna finish 10 minutes early. All right, let's review. 14-step listing presentation. Number 1, phone interview. Number 2 is confirm the appointment and trial close. Number 3 is get on the listing channel. Number 4.
Sorry, John. Number 2 is CMA.
You're right. And I'm totally going from my mind here. Thank you for that, Al. You're absolutely right. I skipped a step. Keep me in check. So number 2 is prepare your CMA. Number 3 is confirm the appointment and trial close. Cool. Number 4, Kodak moment.
No, listing channel.
Didn't I say that?
I don't think so.
No. Oh boy. Sometimes you just want a do-over, don't you?
1 was the phone interview. Number 2 was the CMA. 3 was confirmed.
Thank you. Cool. Start over. Phone interview. You know what? Let's have fun. What's number 2?
CMA.
CMA. Thank you, Al. Number 3.
Confirm appointment and trial close.
All right. 4.
Listing.
Listing channel.
Get on the listing channel. 5.
Kodak moment.
Kodak moment. 6.
Tour the home.
7. Begin the conversation.
Conversation.
Yeah. 8.
Yep.
Needs analysis.
Presentation needs. Yeah.
Do a needs analysis. Number 9. Prioritize their needs. Number 10.
Trial close.
Trial close. 11.
Satisfy demands and expectations.
You got it. What number did I just leave off on?
11.
That was 11. 12.
CMA.
We did a CMA already.
Review the CMA and supply and demand analysis.
I had that as 13.
13. There you go. You're right. And 14.
Close.
Close. All right. Good. All right. So where we left off yesterday is preparing the CMA. Now I'm going to start there. First of all, what goes into price of the home? What are we looking at to determine value? What are we looking at to determine the right strategy? Number one is location. Where is the property located? Properties that back up to the water are more valuable because they back up to the water. Properties that back up to water that I can put a boat on are more valuable than a canal that I can't put a boat on. Properties that back up to deep water with unlimited access to the ocean are more valuable than properties that have fixed bridges and I can only put a small boat behind my house. Properties that back up to the street, properties that back up to commercial buildings are less valuable and harder to sell. Properties that back up to conservation are more valuable, and on and on and on. So location matters. Location matters a lot. Matter of fact, one of the things that I would say in a buyer's market is the two properties that are hardest to sell are properties that back up to a street and properties without a garage. We talked about that yesterday, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. And location. The next thing that I'm looking at is how large is the home. In other words, square footage. And specifically, we're looking for square footage under air versus gross square footage. Okay, so I could have a 4,000 square foot home with 2,500 square foot under air, and I'm looking at the 2,500 square foot under air, not that the additional 1,500 square foot that is the lanai and the garage and square footage that's not under air doesn't matter, because it does, but it's not equal. The other thing that you want to look at, guys, is if I have a 3,000 square foot home on one that is a single story home versus a 3,000 square foot home that is a 2-story home, there is a difference. There's a difference in those two properties. It costs less money to build up than it does to build out. Mm-hmm. The other thing that's important to consider is be careful not to use price per square foot as your only tool to create value. The challenge with that is if you go into a neighborhood and you're looking at a property down the street, the seller says, well, that home sold for $150 a square foot, and my home is nicer, so my home is going to sell for more per square foot. Well, that makes sense unless you stop and consider the property down the street was 2,000 square foot and the property we're looking at is 2,500 square foot. The property that's smaller is going to sell for more per square foot. It's going to sell for more per square foot because you take the improvements. For example, they both have kitchens. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, they both have kitchens. Matter of fact, let's say they both had exactly the same kitchen. One's 2,000 square foot, the other one's 2,500 square foot. They both have exactly the same kitchen. They were built the same year. They have granite countertops, maple cabinets, travertine floors, stainless steel appliances, the top of the top, the best of the best. Let's say that both kitchens are $50,000 kitchens. Now, divide $50,000 into 2,000 square foot and divide $50,000 into 2,500 square foot. In which home is the kitchen worth more per square foot?
2,000 square feet.
In
Smaller
the,
home.
2,000.
in the smaller home, 100%. So if we only use price per square foot and we say, yeah, that makes sense. So that property down the street sold for 150 a square foot. You should get 170 a square foot. And we're going to take 2,500 square foot times 170 a square foot. We just overpriced that property drastically.
Mm-hmm.
You guys get this?
Yes.
Mhm.
Raise your hand if you understand. Okay, it's important. All right, so the other thing we're looking at is how many bedrooms and bathrooms they have. So two properties, they both have 2,500 square foot. One is a 4-bedroom, they're both 4-bedroom, 3-bath homes. No, back up. One's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home. One is a 3-bedroom, 3-bath home. And they're both 2,500 square foot. Everything is equal, everything else is equal. Which one's gonna sell for more money?
4-bedroom.
The 4-bedroom home.
Four.
Yes. If one is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath home and the other one is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home, which one's going to sell for more money?
Or 3.
The one with 3 bedrooms.
bath.
Okay, absolutely. The other thing we're looking at is improvements. And remember, one of the questions we're asking on the soft interview is, tell me what improvements you have made to your home in the last 5 years. So if I spend $50,000 updating my kitchen, does that make my home more valuable? Yes or no?
No.
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 Well, answer is actually yes.
I say yes.
It does.
Yes.
Although, Al, you're not wrong, and I'm always going to make you right. You know, we want to, 2 things everybody wants is they want to be understood, they want to be heard, they want to be understood, and they want to be right. So I'm always going to make you right. You were right. Here's the difference. In a buyer's market, I'm not getting $50,000 back for the $50,000 I put into my kitchen. At best, I'm getting 20 to 25 cents on the dollar. At best. What it's doing for me, though, it's making my home more sellable. And that means if we're competing for buyers, a buyer will choose my home because I have an updated kitchen versus a home that doesn't have an updated kitchen.
Because they don't want to do the work.
Exactly. Why would I buy a home and spend $50,000 updating the kitchen when I can buy one that already has an updated kitchen? But I'm not going to spend $50,000 more for that home. Now, in a seller's market, when there's less than 30-day supply, super hot seller's market, I will get more money back for the improvements that I put into the kitchen. I might get 40 cents on the dollar versus 20 cents on the dollar. So that $50,000 kitchen might get me an additional 20,000. It might. Make sure you heard that. All right? It doesn't necessarily mean that it will. Script. Michael, when you put the $50,000 into your kitchen a year ago, did you know you were going to be selling your home?
No.
Yeah. And if I gave you the option of having the $50,000 today or still having the updated kitchen, which would you choose?
Probably $50,000.
Yeah. So would the buyer. Right? You guys tracking with me, right?
Right.
So these are the things that I'm going to pay attention to. Keep your questions to the end, guys. These are the things that I'm going to pay attention to when I'm pulling comparables. And one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a highlighter and I'm going to go to the public remarks and I'm going to highlight important information like spacious living area. Not important. Everybody has a spacious living area. All right. What I'm looking for is updated kitchen. Now, what I would really like to see is brand new updated kitchen with granite countertops, travertine floors, stainless steel appliances, updated in 2019. Now I know that this homeowner updated their home with a brand new $50,000 kitchen a year ago. That's important information. If the property is 20 years old and it simply says updated kitchen and you're not getting any details as to what they did to update or when they did it, well, it's 20 years home. They might have updated it 15 years ago. Is it an updated kitchen? No.
No.
It's not. It simply means I don't have 20-year-old cabinets. I don't have 20-year-old countertops. I don't have 20-year-old floors and appliances. They're only 15 years old. Sorry, dude, that's not updated. All right, so I'm looking for specific information. A new roof. Well, when was it replaced? If it was replaced 5 years ago, it's not new, it's newer. And by the way, a roof is not necessarily an improvement, because a roof is a necessity. Can you live in a home without a roof?
No.
No. If I spend $20,000 putting on a new roof, well, the old roof was old. It needed to be replaced. It was leaking. I had water pouring into my house. Guys, I'm going to hit mute because I love the typing. That means you're taking notes, but it's distracting me. Hold on one second. Okay, what happened? There we go. Mute all. Sorry about that. Keep typing, by the way. Love it. Okay. I replaced the roof because I had to. It's a necessity. I can't live without a roof. If I'm in South Florida and I replace my air conditioning unit and I spend $5,000 doing that, maybe $10,000, right? That doesn't make my home worth $10,000 more. It simply means I replace the air conditioning because you can't live in South Florida without an air conditioner. It doesn't increase the value. It's a necessity. If I go put 4 new tires on my car because I have 4 flats, that doesn't make my car more valuable. It makes it drivable. Are you guys tracking me? Just give me a thumbs up. Thanks. Okay, so I'm highlighting important information. I'm highlighting square footage, year home was built, how many bedrooms and baths it has, whether or not it has a pool, and location, and the size of the lot. Those are things that I'm going to look at quickly as we review the comparables when it comes time to review the comparables. Then I'm going to the public remarks and I'm highlighting important information because I don't want to be there 3 days reading all of that fluff. I only want to hit on the highlights. And I'm going to read every single comparable with the seller. Now, 8:51. Ask me questions. And guys, this is why this is going to take a while. We barely touched on 1 of the 14 points today. That's it. Talk to me. Alex. Yeah, you know what, guys? So there's going to be a lot of questions. Raise your hand. I'm learning from watching James Shaw. I like the little hand raise thing. I'll see if I do this right. Hit the little hand raise button and see if I can do this.
Okay, a few quick points or questions. Number 1, when you're doing your CMA or comparable, are you using any kind of a form to go ahead and do your CMA or your broker price opinion?
No.
First question.
No.
So you're just basically going off the sheets that you have along the way?
Yeah.
Okay. Next question that I have for your comments. A lot of times when I'm sitting down with somebody and they may have a higher expectations on property listing, I can use the location and the condition of the house and make adjustments along the way. If I think the house is worth 400 and he's kind of stuck on 450, I can go ahead and tweak that BPO or CMA saying, okay, well, now that I've seen the house, I can understand moving that value up a little bit.
So script. Alex, I'm seeing X, you're seeing Y. Help me understand Y.
Okay, so you haven't had an opportunity to come into my house to go ahead and see the improvements that I've done on the kitchen. You basically told you that I did, granted, now that you've seen that, what do you think? Additionally, yes, I have a pool, but have you seen the landscape around it?
Yeah, so what we haven't talked about today, because all we talked about is what information to look at, and you're jumping ahead to the conversation that you're going to have when it comes time to pricing the house, Alex. And I'm not talking about I'm not talking about pricing the house right now. When I am talking about pricing the home, when we get to that step, I'm simply reviewing the comparables with you without judgment. And I'm going to just stop and check in and say, what are you seeing? Based on the information that I'm showing you, where do you see your home selling? What do you feel your home is worth?
Discovery. Great
I'm
point.
not telling you what I think your home is worth. I'm never going to tell you what I think your home is worth. You're going to tell me because you're going to own the price, not me. Because I'm never going to hear, well, you said my home was worth $500,000. No, I didn't. All right, Shirley.
So a property that backs to water is more valuable. Does it matter the type of water? So if it backs to a lake, it's still more valuable than a property that does not?
Yeah, property backs to a lake is more valuable than a home that backs to another home. Yes, 100%. Because you don't have a neighbor behind you, you have more privacy, and you have a better view. Now, a large lake is more valuable than a pond. A lake that I can fish on or boat on is more valuable. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Cool.
And also the similarity is like a 10th floor apartment versus a second floor apartment.
We talked about that yesterday. You're absolutely correct, Eddie. So if I'm looking, and you know Eddie's from New York when he says apartment versus condo, and I love that. If I live, it's all good, Eddie. It's awesome. If I have a condo that's overlooking the ocean on the 10th floor, that's more valuable than a condo overlooking the ocean on the 2nd floor. And that's what you were saying, Eddie, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. Bill, take yourself off mute and talk to me.
Yes, just going back real quick on yesterday's comment, when you do the calculation absorption rate from homes, 300 to 350, 350 to 400, looking for that fishing pond that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And in yesterday's conversation, you also mentioned when you look at comps about the age of the home. So when you do the absorption rate calculation for those price ranges, do you focus on the age of the home or just look for single homes? Doesn't matter the age.
Good question. I don't consider the age. I'm just looking for inventory between $500,000 and $550,000 for single family homes.
Okay, and do you break down or separate frame homes versus concrete block?
No, because all we're trying to, and supply and demand, this is not to, excuse me, guys. This is not to determine the value. This is to determine which is the right market in order to get your home sold. If I were having a conversation with you, Bill, about the value of your home and looking at the comparables, that is one of the things that we would look at. Framed home versus block construction. Block construction's worth more. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did I answer your question?
Yep. Thank you.
Yep. Cool. Vicky, take yourself off mute and talk to me. Guys, I'm looking for hands, and I'm just going wherever I see a hand, and I'll scroll through these and see if I'm missing anybody. Right now, Vicky's the only one who has her hand up. Thanks.
Yes, John. When you said read every comparable with the seller, and then yesterday you said pull 6 months, sold, everything, whatever is comparable or not. How many actually comparables you reviewing with the seller, like on average?
So Vicky, that's a great question. I'm not going to read every single property I pull. I'm going to read every one that's comparable. So if there were 20 properties sold in the last 6 months, I'm literally bringing, put my hands up where you can see them, on paper. Yes, I know I'm not being very, I'm killing trees. I'm bringing every single property on paper, 20 listings, with highlighted information. And Vicky, when I come to a property that's not comparable to yours, I'm going to simply say, so Vicky, this property has 3,000 square foot. Your home is 2,200 square foot. So this one's not comparable. Wouldn't you agree? You would say yes. And I'm just going to put an X through that and push it off to the side. And we're not going to talk about that home anymore. We're only going to go in depth with the homes that are comparable to yours. If your home is a 2,200 square foot under air and you have 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2-car garage with a pool, I'm looking for properties that range from 1,800 square foot to 2,400 square foot. If they don't fall in that range, they're not comparable. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, Shirley, take yourself off mute.
John, Michael and Diane they have their hands raised, literally.
Yeah, I was just going to tell you that.
You're so awesome. Let's go with Michael first and then Diane.
Easy one. Do you value a pool or just treat it as an accessory?
The pool adds value. It also makes your home more sellable. It doesn't add whatever it costs you to put that pool in. If you put the pool in a year ago and you spent $50,000 doing that, it doesn't increase the value of your home by $50,000. And this is a great point that I bring up when I'm talking about $50,000 on a new kitchen, is I would tell a seller, so for example, if you put a new pool in your home last year, how much would it cost you to do that? And the answer would be, well, it depends, right? But on average, Michael, what would it cost you to put in a pool?
$40,000.
Sure. Yeah. And if we sold your home today, what's the appraiser going to give you for the value of your pool?
$18,000.
Maybe.
$20,000.
Yeah, maybe. How much? So $18,000 to $20,000. There's how much value it adds. So if there's 2 properties in the neighborhood And they're both 2,500 square foot. They're both 3 bedrooms, 2 baths with a garage. They're both the same age. They both are updated exactly. One has a pool, one doesn't. The one with a pool is probably going to sell for about $20,000 more.
Okay.
Shirley, who was next? Diane, I think. Yeah, Diane.
Okay, yes, thank you, Shirley. In terms of comparing properties, because I know there's a lot of properties, how do you compare one, let's say, that has golf course view, one that has lake, like they have lake view versus wetlands? How do you do that if you're in that situation?
Look for Shirley, Diane, I've got it. Look for other properties that also sold that back up to a golf course and see how they sold compared to properties in the same neighborhood that backed up to wetlands. The comparables will tell you what buyers consider more valuable.
Okay.
And golf course is a great example, and I forgot that one, by the way. Golf course does add value. And guys, you're gonna have sellers. This is fun. You're gonna have sellers that are gonna tell you, well, I don't like to look at the golf course, so therefore I don't think the golf course adds value. And trust me, whenever I hear that, I wanna go, yeah, so you're not buying the home. And if you're not buying the home, what you think really doesn't matter. Don't say that. That's just the smart aleck in me coming out. Okay, Danielle, and then Alexandra.
Okay, my question was a little bit of a piggyback on Shirley's question about the waterfront. So you have a lake view versus an ocean view versus a canal. How do you ascribe a value to that? Meaning, how do you know the difference between what value to put on lake view versus ocean? Or
it's a good question, Danielle. It's a good question. Ocean's worth more. And if we're in a neighborhood, we're looking for properties that are comparable within the neighborhood. So for example, if Alex Kublix is selling a property that's 2 miles from or 2 blocks from the ocean, and there's properties in the same neighborhood that have an ocean view and some don't, I'm not going to even use a property that has an ocean view as a comparable with a property who doesn't, because they're not comparable. Just like the 2,800 square foot home is not comparable to the 2,200 square foot home.
Okay, so essentially what you're saying is if a property has a lake view, for example, then the comparables should be other properties that have lake views rather than a canal or whatever.
Ideally, yes. Definitely not ocean view. Definitely, they're drastically different. Now, if there's a property in the neighborhood that has a lake, that backs up to a lake, and there's another home that backs up to a canal, yeah, I will look at both of those properties. And again, I'm looking at other homes in the neighborhood to see where buyers are placing the greater value.
Okay. Okay. Thank
Hey,
you.
John, I got a quick question for you since you're talking about value in water.
Yep. Go ahead,
I know
Frank.
it's probably going to sound, I know it's going to probably sound like a stupid question, but you know how in certain parts of Fort Lauderdale you'll have, you know, literally probably about a block or two over, one will have a fixed bridge, won't have a fixed bridge. What would you equivalent the value on those two properties that are a block away from each other, one with a fixed bridge and one without, both with the same size, you know, distance between the back borders from the house to the other side of the other house behind it?
It's a great question. So I've got two properties. They're down the street from one another. One has a fixed bridge, one doesn't, but they both back up to a canal, and I can put a boat behind both homes. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, the one that does not have a fixed bridge, the one in which I can put my 48-foot Hatteras behind, is more valuable.
Right, but what would you determine the difference?
Same thing I said to Danielle. Look at other properties that sold on water, the water that has unlimited access to the ocean, and see what they sold for compared to the properties that have a fixed bridge, the buyers will tell you the difference in value. History will tell you a difference in value. I don't have a number in my head. I don't have a number in my head that I'm going to say, well, it's a $50,000 difference. That's pretty dangerous. I'm looking to see what buyers are saying.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. I know, but I see like sometimes, you know, sometimes you'll see these appraisers give a lot higher of a value, also depending upon the width of how much open is behind the property as well on the water.
And again, if you look for properties, I don't mean again like I'm being
no, I see what you're saying.
Punitive to you, Frank. I'm not. Look at other properties that are on that same body of water, what they sold for. Buyers will tell you the value of the homes that are on that water.
Cool, thanks.
You got it. Vicky, your hand is up, and Alexandra, your hand is up.
Okay, so I just wanted to add a little bit on the beach properties. Some of these beach properties have parking, which are not necessarily part of the folio. And that does add the value that perhaps just makes it more sellable. I wanted to mention that because I know that some of these listings are coming up and there really isn't a value like a kitchen that you can see. However, the buyer does appreciate having parking, not necessarily deeded, but some of these parkings have actually been done through the association prior to the developer closing. So we need to really be mindful when we ask the question for the condos on the beach. Yes, it's important to have it on the height. It's also important to see the water, but mostly the buyers are also seeking parking, not the valet parking that they charge you 50, 75, 100, but rather the parking that they just self-park, and it adds anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000 per parking space. Some of these owners been there 50 years, 30 years, and they have 2 and 3 in some of their condo association agreement. Again, not part of the deed, not part of the folio, but you as the expert need to know that it does add quite a bit of value, and it just puts it in a position so that that condo, although it might not be updated, it might not have great view, it actually can sell faster.
Great information.
But let me ask you, are all 3 of those spots transferable when the new buyer purchases the property?
You're muted, Alexandra. I didn't mute you, by the way. Alexandra, you're still muted. I want
Sorry
her to...
about that. Yes, it does add value. However, it does not show on the appraisal. So if you were to do an appraisal, you do need to make sure you have great communication with your mortgage person.
Alexandra, I don't want to stop you. Hold on just a second. Frank's question was, are they all transferable to the new buyer?
My apologies.
Yeah, but go ahead and answer the question because
My
you've got the floor.
apologies. Yes, it is transferable. You do have to make sure that the release is signed at the association.
Love that. Love that.
Thank you.
Love, love, love that. Okay, guys, it's 9:07. I don't see any more hands up. Great call today. I hope you guys got value. No pun intended.